Eroticism is the thing that allows you to inhabit your body. It is. So if you have hang-ups about sex, sexuality, if you judge other people for their sex lives, for their desires, you'll never inhabit your body. And you'll never truly spiritually awaken. You won't. Many people get hung up on this part. I know I did. I got hung up on it. And I had to eventually realize that all expressions of sexuality are okay. They're fine. And I think the lady that wrote Existential Kink talked about this. You don't condone these things. You don't have to condone stuff to realize that they go on. But you do have to acknowledge that there are as many ways to express sexual things and sexual desires and fantasies and all that stuff. Acknowledge them, because as soon as you judge something, boom, shut down. As soon as you shame somebody else, boom, shut down. The mark of an intelligent person is, can they accept, entertain an idea without accepting it? I know guys like to have sex with women. I don't. But I can appreciate that. I understand that. I understand why men would want to have sex with women. And so in my work, I ask men, straight men, women, to understand why a man would want to have sex with another man and not shut that down right away. Some of you ladies out there are pretty open-minded. And you guys are getting rewarded right now with this flood of man-on-man content that we've been producing lately. Some straight men too. One of my straight friends called me and said, Patrick, your videos are amazing. I was skeptical at first, but damn if they didn't make me horny. And I'm a straight guy. And that's because they are designed to awaken the erotic in you. Whether you're a man or a woman, straight or gay, the imagery that we chose, the instruments, the beats, let it rise in you, y'all. Let it rise. So we are working on a book about masculine restoration. And then this album is basically a sexual awakening, a masculine initiation into a man's own erotic nature. Independent of women, independent of other men, independent of everything except yourself. When you allow the erotic to rise in you, and I'm going to tell you, it's a natural thing. The erotic is natural. It's natural to be erotic. When you allow it to rise, it's already there. You're just keeping it down. You're just keeping it down. You're pushing it down for some fucking reason. For some fucking reason, you're pushing it down. Shame will make you sick. Pushing down that eroticism will make you sick. And I think a lot of people are sick because they have suppressed the erotic within them. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go to sex parties or indulge in every fantasy or anything like that. But for God's sakes, quit shaming yourself. Quit judging yourself. To be open-minded is to have your beliefs challenged, or to constantly weigh evidence against your favored beliefs. And that's how you stay open-minded. And open-minded people tend to be open-minded. They can hear things they disagree with without having a complete come apart. Being open-minded in this day and age is the only way to be. The irony is, so many progressive people think they're open-minded. So many liberals think they're open-minded. They're not. They are closed the fuck down. And I would say subscribing to a political ideology is the most suppressive thing you can do, because politics is ego and the ego is not real. So how do you let the erotic rise? Well, I can tell you what happened to me. I can tell you my story of how I got married, tried to be a good little husband, put an overemphasis on family, my in-laws and my own family. I think it was Merrick's family that they said family is everything. Family is everything. And I believe that. I believe family was everything. They seem to be pretty solid. They seem to have their shit together, but boy howdy, I discovered that Merrick's family, like my family, like almost every family, is very, very dysfunctional. And in fact, dysfunctional families are the rule. And in fact, a functional family may not exist in this culture. A functional family may not exist in this culture. And you can say, well, I've had wonderful parents, Patrick. People tend to get offended when I say that most families are dysfunctional. When I heard that, I thought that was like freedom. Oh, so everybody's screwed up. Oh, okay, I get it. Boy, howdy do I get it now. I get it now. My parents were very shameful about sex. Merrick's family was both kind of perverted, but also morality at the same time. There was lots of dirty jokes and dick jokes and all that kind of stuff. It was an immature sexuality. It was a puerile sexuality. It wasn't very grown up or erotic. And there's a difference. You know, dick jokes, butt jokes, boob jokes, and all that stuff. That is things that children do. And that can stunt the erotic in anyone. So how exactly does the erotic rise? Like, many people are afraid to let the erotic rise because it might lead to infidelity, or it might lead to a porn addiction, or it might lead to chronic masturbation or something like that. But you got to see that shit through. You got to see that through, because we live in a culture now where men and women don't know how to date each other. They're sexually fucked up. You have men who exclusively goon and bait and refuse to have sexual content with other people at all, preferring anime cartoons and AI generated porn. That's where we're at. We also have women who they only think the top 5% of men are attractive. So what about all the other men? It's crazy. It's fucked up. So you're going to have to save yourself here. You're going to have to fucking save yourself, because everybody else out there is fucked up. Chances are you're fucked up around this. I know I was. It had to be revealed to me. Over the years, I think some people tried to tell me. I mean, I'll be honest with you as I can on YouTube. I mean, I thought I was a pretty free and open, sexually open person, but I wasn't. There was always something shameful about it. Always something shameful about it. And so it has taken a lot of work to untap this masculine resource. And I'm only going to speak about the masculine here because I'm not a woman. The only thing I will say about the woman, the female, the feminine, is I noticed this. When I say feminine, I don't mean anything negative or bad. I don't mean anything negative or bad by it. And when I say that too many men have feminine thinking, I don't think there's anything wrong with acknowledging that. And for many men, it was like, oh, you're right. I am not a woman, so I cannot think like a woman. But sometimes when I say feminine thinking, some women have complete come aparts. And I'm like, honey, that's revealing how you truly feel about the feminine. I'm not saying anything bad or negative about women or men. I know that. I can say the same thing to 20 different people, and 20 different people will have a different interpretation. And the clearer I get, the more direct I get, the crazier it gets. Isn't that interesting? I went and got my haircut today. I was talking to my stylist about it. And she's like, you're right. Like, people are projecting. They project and they don't know they're projecting. And I used to project, not as much as I used to. I still project. But man, I'm just trying to be as clear and honest as I can. And yet it just seems to not get through. Now, granted, I live in Kentucky, okay? And I don't live in a community where people are worldly, or many people have never been to college in this town. And many people have never even lived outside of this town. So my experience is going to be a little different being being gay in a small town. Being somebody that went to college, or God, my fucking life path of living in other places and dying and coming back to life and initiated as a shaman and all these other fucking things. Most people haven't had that experience. Most people will not read the books that I tell them to read if they want to fix their life, if they want to get better. Because I know people right now who are going through the exact same thing that I went through. And I can't tell them shit. And I know this because I used to be where they are, and people try to tell me stuff. And I was like, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. I mean, I went to therapy for 10 years and the therapist said, stay away from your family. I went to a gastroenterologist and the gastroenterologist said, change your name, change your number, leave town. These people will never care about you. These people don't care if you live or die. Get the fuck away from these people. Did I listen? No. My parents had to fucking die before I'd leave them alone. So I get it. But today, let's hope something fucking comes through. Today, let's hope that something fucking comes through. So, if eroticism helps you inhabit the body, why is inhabiting the body so fucking important? Why is inhabiting the body so fucking important, Patrick? Well, because unless you inhabit the body, you're not going to spiritually awaken, not truly. Because so many spiritual practices out there deny the body. They say the body is not that important, that the spirit is more important than the body. Cover yourself up. Don't pull your titty out. Don't show your dick. Don't have sex. I'm not talking about New Age spirituality as so much as I'm talking about Christianity and all those buttoned up, gussied up religions. I mean, celibate priests and all this shit. Denying the body. But I'm going to tell you, I thought I was spiritually awakened until when I inhabited my body and I went through that dark labyrinth of sexual reawakening. It wasn't easy. And it wasn't free. And it wasn't cheap. And it cost a lot. It cost friendships. It cost YouTube subscribers. It cost. It cost. I don't even know if our business is going to survive it. But you know what? I'd pay that fucking shit. I'd pay it all over again. I sure as hell will. Because it surgically removed wishy-washy people from our life. It surgically removed, like a precision drum. It like went boom, boom. And I'm like, if men knew what was on the other side of this, they would run to it. They would run to it. Now I'm thinking, if somebody had told me years ago, would I have ran to it? Probably not. Probably not. So I'm going to just put those bees in your bonnet that on the other side of it, you would run to it. This is the same thing with ego, with pain body, with inhabiting the body. If you knew what was on the other side of it, you would run to it. You would run to it. And so I'm in a position in my life where I have achieved things that I never thought I would achieve. I'm married to a beautiful man. My life is that I get to get up and make art every day and get paid to make art. There are some things that I'm not so happy with, but those pale in comparison to the life that I used to have. I know some of you have come on back recently from following me 10 years ago, and they're like, wow, because it fucking works. It fucking works. It fucking works. It fucking works. So this is probably the tail end of a decade-long journey. But that decade-long journey started with a simple question. Because I remember being out of my body over 10 years ago. We're working on a documentary about that time, but I remember being out of my body through a near-death experience, going through ego death, dark night of the soul. And I guess people just conveniently forget that I've been through hell and back. I think they just forget it because they see me now and they're like, well, Patrick, you never went through anything. You never went through anything bad. You're smiling. You're happy. You never went through anything. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know anything what you're talking about. And I'm like, man, it works that good. Like it never even happened. Like it never even happened. And in many ways, it really didn't. So that's why I don't talk about all that stuff all that much. But inhabiting the body is necessary because you get out of your mind and into the body. What a revelation. And so how does eroticism pull you into your body? Well, let me tell you a little bit about this. Because when you get turned on, and I'm not talking about the horny kind of turned on. Like I heard from a guy the other day, and he was talking about, well, I need to go rub one out. And I'm like, why would you say rub one out? Rub out your energy, rub out your life essence, rub out your creativity, rub out your soul, rub out your opportunity to just sit with it and allow it to rise and just have it be like this ball of horny energy. And you just kind of, wow, you're going to rub that out. Rub that out. Go ahead, rub it out. Get it over with. Get it fucking over with. Because if somebody told you that being turned on or being horny or feeling like you want to fuck is something that you need to get rid of, for real? For real? So yeah, I've been teaching men how to let the erotic rise and just let it be there. But see, I remember being the kind of guy that needed to get it over with because to be horny was so awful. Look how the ego does this shit. The ego loves this shit because the ego doesn't want you to be erotic. The ego doesn't want that energy to be restored to you. But see, you can have it pull you into your body. So how it works is you allow yourself to feel desire without having to satisfy it. You allow yourself to just, and I see it as this ball of energy, like it just comes up through the belly. It arises like a tree, like roots coming up, and it just feels grounding. And I'm talking about what it feels like for me as a man to have it. I can look at women, I can look at men, I can feel erotic towards human beings. But see, when the erotic is in me, when it's there, it is almost like I don't see people as individual people anymore. It's a unifying type of thing. And to call it erotic might even be inaccurate once it gets to that point. Might even be inaccurate. So, for those of you that know, we've been making a lot of erotic music videos. I've had to look at myself in erotic positions and other men in erotic positions. And yeah, it's a very erotic thing to work on erotica. I mean, I have edited pornography and things like that and edited stuff like that before. Editing pornography is different than working on erotica because it turns you on just enough, but it doesn't put you over the edge of needing to beat off or anything like that. That's why I love erotica so much, because it shows you how beautiful it is. You don't need to see a dick or a boob or anything like that. It's there. The imagination is much better than pornography. It really is. But you allow it to rise in you and you just let it be. You don't have to rub it out. You don't have to jack it off. You don't have to get rid of it. What would happen if you just let it rise? Now, granted, I went through a period of semen retention, 100 days. And I think that's good for any man who wants to reset his sexuality towards being more erotic. And I've also worked with people who are on semen retention. And if I suggest it leads to ego inflation, it leads to delusion, they get very upset. And you know it's ego when people get upset. Like in the example that I mentioned before, if I'm talking about the feminine and then somebody thinks I'm being derogatory, that's the ego, because the ego doesn't want you knowing that. The ego doesn't want you knowing any of this. In fact, every time I see somebody unsubscribe from this channel, I'm like, well, ego's got you, bitch. Ego's fucking got you. And those of you that are sticking around through this rebrand, y'all are going to get motherfucking rewarded, because I'm waiting to get monetized before I do the big stuff. That's just how it is. Because if I'm going to reveal my deep, dark processes and secrets, they cost me a lot. And I need to get paid for that shit. For fucking real. Because you can't give it away for free. You can't, despite what the ego wants. And plus, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter, because those of you who need to hear it will hear it. But I'm telling you, if you're hearing my voice right now, you're on the cutting edge. Because so few people are actually doing this work. You're on the cutting edge. If you're doing this work, you're on the cutting edge. You are the ancestors of the future generations. So, eroticism comes up. It's there. It pushes out disease. It pushes out illness. It pushes you inhabit it. Now, let me tell you what happens when a man gets turned on and chooses to not rub it out or jack it or even try to find somebody else to have sex with. I know people right now who are on apps looking for people to have sex with instead of focusing on themselves. Got to get rid of it. See? Got to get rid of this urge. Got to get rid of this. It's uncomfortable. It's only uncomfortable to the ego. It's only uncomfortable to the ego. It's not uncomfortable to you. So when a man is turned on, he's somewhat fearless. And let me tell you another thing about men. Men do not have to think all that much. And in fact, men should not think all that much. A man who thinks a lot is a dangerous man. Because men have access to a field of energy that organizes reality around them. They enter the brotherhood of all men, and you can't think a lot and enter the brotherhood of all men. Now, women, on the other hand, they do have to think a lot. They do have to do things like that. So that's why a man and a woman together is a really good match. It's a really good match, because a man will not think about all that much. And a man should not think all that much. A man should inhabit his body, because that's where we need men to be, in the body. And for women, being in the body means being in touch with the emotions. Because I understand more about women today than I ever have. And I don't need to, because I'm gay. I don't need to understand women all that much. But I love women and I want to help women as much as I can. But women feel unsafe in a variety of ways. So if you talk to a woman in a certain way, that feels very threatening to her and she doesn't feel safe. So she has to feel safe again by hook or by crook. So when I say the word feminine, I don't mean anything negative by it. And when I say the word masculine, I don't mean anything negative by it. When I say the word erotic, I don't mean anything by it. Too many people have too many meanings attached to the words. Let's get back to basics. Let's forget what we think we know. Let's get horny. Let's get turned on. Let's get into the fucking body. Because not being in the body is driving us all crazy. So when a man is turned on, he's fearless. He's more open to trying new things. Because see, I know something that most people have a hard time accessing is I know that God has got you. I know that God has got you. Like you could literally drain your bank account and you'd be okay. That's why people are so scared about things going on in the world. And here's something we learn in recovery. If I look out into the world and I see something disturbing, it's because I'm disturbed. And I need to realize that everything is happening exactly as it should. It can't be any other way. That's why activism is crazy. That's why taking up causes is crazy. That's because usually that stuff just makes it worse. That stuff makes it way worse. So let's say you can get into the body. Let's say you can get into your body for the first time in your life. You can, and I think that sexuality is the most direct route through it. It's the most direct route to get into your body. Much in the same way, like the 12 steps are the quickest, easiest, simplest way to dismantle the ego. There's a lot of more expensive ways to do it, but sexuality is the most direct way. But if you can't do sexuality for whatever fucking reason, because you're not a human being, or you're a frigid bitch, or for some reason you can't access sexuality, okay. There's a lot of other ways to get into the body. Taking baths, going for long walks. But if you can allow the erotic to rise in you, you become really fucking present. This is why I think people are really into gooning and baiting and things like that, because when you're masturbating, you are really present. And the gooners and the baiters seem to figure something out, that you do experience kind of an egoless state when you're doing that. And if you can get into that zone and experience that egoless state, then you can actually call that egoless state up while you're not doing that stuff. It's kind of like why cold showers and cold plunges are so cool, because the ego just says, I don't know what to fucking do with this. I'm peacing out. So if you're gooning or you're baiting and the ego is like, man, this is going on kind of long. I don't know what to do with this. I think I'll just go away for a while. Just go for a way. So when you experience that state, when you become really present, you can call that up anytime. Many, if not most people have never experienced a present moment without ego's influence. Many people have not experienced that. But if you've had sex, if you've orgasmed, if you have been solely focused on another person while you're having sex with them, you've been present. That's why sex feels so good. Not just because you're mashing genitals together, but because you're just focused on this one thing and this one person. If you can get out of your head long enough. I mean, I've had sex with people who are in their head. I mean, I've had sex and been in my head thinking about stuff. That's why drugs were so attractive to me. So I talked a lot of stuff today, and my teaching style is just to throw a bunch of stuff at you and see what sticks. But eroticism is getting into the body by hook or by crook. Eroticism allows you to inhabit the body. So could you just be erotic and not need to rub it out? Could you just be turned on? Could you just be in your body? And see here, on the other side of this, it is not even about sex at all. It is not about that at all. It's about just being alive. Just being alive. And so you might ask me, well, Patrick, when you have sex or when you do that kind of stuff, how does it feel? Well, it's just, this is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm doing now. Whether it's initiated by my husband or somebody else or even myself, it's like, oh, well, this is what we're doing now. It feels kind of good to be like that. But I also have done a lot of work on remaining present, because presence is when you are inhabiting your body. And if you are not inhabiting your body, you can't be present. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? That's all I have for you today. Please have a lovely day and go watch some porn or erotica and see what I'm talking about. All right? Bye-bye.
Love me. Think you could feel me. I wanna feel you move. I wanna feel your skin.